What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Pushing Purpose podcast with your girl and your host, Tiffany, aka TILAGO. I am so excited for this episode today, and I've been sitting on this topic for a few days, not too long now, and I'm just really excited to dig into it. But before I start digging in, let me just tell y'all something, okay? Number one, this episode almost didn't happen this week, okay? Like, your girl has just been really busy. Work has been really busy. My workload has increased at work, and so it's been a lot to juggle right now. I'm trying to find my bearings there. I've been trying to juggle and balance, spending time with family and friends, and also getting me time, and all the things are happening. And so over these past few weeks, I've just been like, okay, I'm trying to prioritize, sitting down and making the episode or creating the episode, and time just wasn't timing. Okay. And so if you are watching this in real time, then I am literally recording this the night before or the day before this is going live. But I just could not have an episode go out today because I just really wanted to dig into this topic with y'all. And then secondly, this episode almost didn't happen because, y'all, this is my second time recording this one. It's not because I've had malfunctions. It's not because the technology hasn't been working. It's because this topic feels so delicate that when I was just recording it before, I was like, these words are not coming out the way that I want them to. And just fumbling over my words a lot. And so not trying to be perfect, but trying to be clear. And I was like, that's not it. So I just deleted the whole episode before this, or the one I recorded before this. I said, we are starting over. And it's interesting because before I really sat down to record, I was like, I'm not going to do any notes. I'm just going to talk off the fly, off the cuff, and we're just going to go into it. And I just kind of felt like, well, first of all, y'all know my word of the month, or if you are following me and things on socials during this month of, what is this month? May 2024, then you know that my word of the month is stewardship. And I literally, as soon as I said, I'm gonna just do this off the cuff, I literally felt like God was like, stewardship, ma'am. That's what you're not going to do. You're going to steward this episode well. And I was like, okay, got it. So what I did was I sat down and, I prayed, and I do that before every episode. And I sat and I prayed, and I was like, okay, God, I know this is the topic you want me to talk about, but now I need you to help me with how do we flesh this out? Because I could go many different ways. This episode, I could be talking, okay? But I felt like I really needed to sit and just ask God, what is the direction that we need to go in this episode? And I feel like he gave me a direction, and I'm an external processor. So even me writing those things out, I still was like, okay, I'm still about to be processing this as I record this episode, but help me to be clear. And I just felt like on the last recording, I just wasn't being clear enough, and I would have been going all over the place, y'all. So I am really excited, though, to talk about this topic of identity. And I think I've talked about identity on the podcast before, but I've never talked about it in this way. And so that's why I'm even more excited. And I'm thankful because I really am learning what we are talking about today in real time. I'm in the middle of learning it, and I'm just excited to flesh it out with y'all. And basically what I'm learning about identity, or what we're talking about today with identity, is that I know we talked about stewarding seasons last episode, right? Well, something that God is revealing to me right now is not only do you need to be a good steward of every season of your life, you also need to be a good steward of identity, of the identities that are revealed to you during your lifetime. Now, what do I mean by that? The main thing that, if you don't get anything else from this episode, if I'm not clear with anything else in this episode, please hear me in this moment. The main thing I'm learning about identity is this: every new season is going to require a new version of you. Every new season is going to require a new version of you. But not only that, every new season is also going to reveal a new version of you. And so you have the opportunity to decide in every season how you are going to steward that version of you, how you are going to steward and handle your identity in that season. And here's the truth: every single version of you needs you to handle it with care. Every single version of you, good, bad, indifferent, ugly, amazing. Every single version needs you to handle it with care. And so you're going to kind of feel like I'm talking like multiversal ish in this episode. Like you're going to feel like I'm talking about you as an it and your identity as a this and all these things. And it's going to feel so intertwined in things. And that's why I'm like, this is such a delicate feeling topic, but we are going to get there. Okay. I'm going to dig into this thing because I really think this is very important. And the way I'm kind of learning this, or how this came about, is I was just kind of sitting and thinking about my life right now and how I'm really, really grateful for where I am, really, really grateful for everything I've, gone through and made it through and all the things. But I'm really excited and looking forward to and yearning for where I'm headed. Right. And so I'm in the middle of this like tension of like excited and thankful for right now, but really looking forward to what's ahead. But there was a moment where I was sitting and I could feel myself almost like not being grateful for the person I am right now, not really embracing and appreciating the person I am right now. And in that moment, I felt like God was saying, hey, listen, you are going to be evolving your entire life. Every single day, you're going to evolve just a little bit more. And you are going to need to learn and understand each and every evolution of yourself. And as you do that, you're going to need to know how to love each and every evolution of yourself, each and every version of yourself, each and every identity that you take on that I allow you to see of yourself. And so that kind of is, as I heard him, that's really what brought on this topic today, because especially in purpose and as we're trying to live out the purpose that God has given us, he's going to keep on revealing new things about us. He's going to keep requiring new things from us, and he's going to keep revealing new things from us. And I think it also might be kind of like woo woo, like what is she talking about when I say that there's you're going to require and reveal a new version, or he's going to require and reveal a new version. And you're kind of like, well, no, I'm only one person. Like there is only one of me, one version, but here's the deal, y'all. We were created in the image of God. Right. And so I know I've talked about this before, but it's just one of my favorite analogies. And I say it all the time because it's always so relevant. But God, if we look at God as a diamond, if we think of him as a diamond, and you think about how a diamond has so many facets, you can turn it and you can flip it, you can do whatever you want to it, but it's almost like you can never look at the diamond the exact same way as you turn it. There's no way you can look at the exact same moment or exact same facet of a diamond the same way, because the light might hit it different, or your eyes might look at it different, or whatever. And God is the same way. There is always a new facet of him that we can see. It's the same God, but he's just so big, so vast, so just multifaceted, right? And so if we are created in his image, then we too are multifaceted. Maybe not as multifaceted as him, right? Because we're in him, but we are multifaceted just like he is. And so there's like every season is almost like turning us as that diamond and revealing a new facet or requiring a new facet of us. And so there's always something new you can learn and discover, and that will be revealed about you. And so here's the deal. Every new version that is revealed, every new version that God requires of you, also requires you to handle it with care, also requires you to steward it well. And so there are some things that I want us to dig into today, and they are kind of what I'm calling truths. I'm not saying that they're like the truth that we stand on, but they're like these truths that I'm learning that are helping me to steward my identity, that are helping me to appreciate the who that I am today and the who that I will be, next week, next year, next month, whatever. And I think they're just super important, and they'll help us to have a better perspective and framework for how we can really steward each and every version of ourselves well. And so y'all know me. I'll give you the three truths, the three things that you've got to think about in order to steward each new version well, right here at the top. And then we're going to dig into them. So the first truth, the first thing that I want you to think about in order to steward your identity well, is that every version of you is valuable. every version of you is valuable. Number 2, every version of you is necessary. And number 3, this one might sting, or this one might be a little like, what is she talking about? But it is that every version of you is temporary. So let's kind of dig into those, right? And so, like I said, these are things that you want to remember as you are trying to steward yourself, your identity, the version of you well in every season. And so this first one, right? Every version of you is valuable. This has to be said, y'all, because I believe that there are too many of us who go through really hard seasons, or we go through a season that reveals things about us that we didn't like, or, we're in a season that we didn't like, and we're like, we get out of it, or we, start to change and evolve. And we're like, I just want to throw away that whole person, that whole season, that whole thing. Right now, as you are walking with God, especially when you say yes to God, absolutely, there are things that you have got to detach from identity wise so that you can take on the new identity that he gives us, right? That's just a part of the Christian walk. That's just a part of our faith walk if you are a believer of Jesus. And so, yes, absolutely. That's 100% what you're supposed to do. But little caveat, star, asterisk, okay? I believe that if we throw away identities, if we throw away whole seasons because we chalk them up to not be valuable anymore, without taking out the things that we're supposed to learn or supposed to understand about that version of ourselves, about that identity that we had, then we will end up in another version of ourselves, another season of our lives, with that old version continuing to creep back up and us not being able to understand why. And it's because you've got to take the time to really pull out the little nuggets. Don't just throw the whole thing away, the whole person away, the whole you away, without pulling out the nuggets, the things that you were supposed to learn and understand and see and keep even from that person or from that season, so that you can walk into the next season as this better version of yourself, or as the version that is required for that next season, right? Because every version that you are requires, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it requires like pieces of the last version of you, right? And so every version of you is valuable. And another thing, in that, you wanting to throw versions away because you didn't like them, because you didn't like who you were, because you didn't like how you looked, because you didn't like how you acted, because you didn't like your personality, whatever it was, they're still to be loved. That version is still to be loved and given grace and shown patience and to be understood, right? Because every version of you is a version that God allowed to be revealed to you, to be revealed on this earth. Therefore, every single version, because God loves you wholly, unconditionally, fully, every version is loved by him. So every version needs to be loved by you. That love may look different, right? As we detach from these old identities, then we're loving that person from a distance, like, hey, I appreciate you, but you got to go. But you still have to show that person love, because what we don't want to do, y'all, is to continue to move through our lives, throwing away versions of ourselves and essentially betraying ourselves, continuing to say, I just didn't like that person, we're moving on to the next. And then you have a whole piece of yourself, a part of yourself that is now like left in the dust. And it's still you though. Like, you're still human, you're still living your life. And so there's this piece of you that you've like detached from that's still with you. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If I start seeing this piece of me as valuable, or if I start pulling out the things that I was supposed to from this piece of me, then it won't be me carrying around the dead weight. It'll be me carrying around the things that I was supposed to, and then letting go of the things that I was not supposed to. Now, y'all might be like, okay, I see what she was talking about, how this gonna get real delicate. But and you might need therapy after this episode. I don't know. But if you do, amen, go get it. Okay. But really, we've got to take more time to just like pull out the things we were supposed to from past seasons and past identities of ourselves, rather than just throwing them away and saying that they're invaluable. Because I just don't think that God is like, ew, that version of that person, or that season of that person's life, or the way they did that, or the way they did that, I could never love them because of that. That is not how God is. And so that's not how he calls us to be, especially not with ourselves. Because if we do not start seeing every version of ourselves as valuable, then we will walk through every season of our lives mishandling ourselves which in turn leads us to mishandle the season, mishandle opportunities, mishandle relationships, mishandle our purpose, mishandle our lives. And so you want to handle yourself with care, with grace, with patience, with love. And you want to do that not in like this, like, oh, come here, baby, like, little, like, whatever, like not in that way, but more in like I really appreciate you. And I'm going to pull out the things that I need to, because for some reason, God saw fit for me to be this person so that I could get to this next season. And then that leads us right into number 2. Every version of you is necessary. This kind of has the same feel as the last one of like, there's a lot of us who are like, man, I wish I just never had to deal with that. I never had to be that person. I never had to experience that. I never this. And okay, I'm talking about myself specifically for real right here, because I've definitely been in a season where I've just been like, God, you really didn't have to make me be that person. I didn't have to be that person. Like, you could have just put the perfect stuff in me so that I could be the perfect me that you had created, right? And God was like, no, every single version of you is necessary, because every version of you leads you into the next version of you. And so again, if you've got to pull out those pieces from the previous version so that you can step into being the next version of yourself as the full person that you're supposed to be in that season. And so we cannot look at versions of ourselves, identities that we've carried, as unnecessary, as those are like, man, that part of me, I never should have been that, never should have experienced that, never should have been there, never should have done that. No, because y'all, let me tell you something. I'm just looking at my life. I'm thinking about my life in this situation, or in this moment. I went to school, college, 2 degrees in one field that I no longer work in right now. Right? Haven't worked in it in, oh my gosh, but like over 4 or 5 years now. But now, y'all, if I look at those 7 years of my life that I was in school and I say, well, that was unnecessary because I'm not working in that field anymore, then I also simultaneously am throwing away all the things that I've learned, all the things that I experienced, all the people I met, all the connections I made, all the opportunities I had throughout those 7 years, just because I'm saying, no, that person was unnecessary. I didn't need to be that person, because just because my brain can't fathom how that person who went through that degree and is not using that degree anymore, how that got me here. Right? Does that make sense? Like, again, if you know what, here we go. Another episode where I say it. God's ways and his thoughts are higher than ours. And so a lot of times we throw away pieces of our identity. We throw away versions of ourselves, and we chalk them up to be invaluable and unnecessary because we don't understand how they are connected to the next season of our lives. We don't understand how they're connected to the thing that God is calling us to in the next season. And we're like, there's no way that these things can be connected. And God is like, I had to have you be this person. I had to reveal this person to you in this season, because for the next season, there are things that this person needed to do, needed to see, needed to be, needed to experience, needed to overcome, needed to get beat up by, needed to have in their lives, so that you could get to the next version of yourself in the next season of your life as a more informed, more experienced, more loving, more caring, more whatever it is person. But if you had not been in this season, if you had not been this person with these characteristics, with these skills, with these talents, with these gifts, having to do these X, Y, and Z things, then you would not step into this next season as this version of yourself in the best way possible. And so I know that we're also kind of dipping back into the previous episode talking about seasons, but it's all connected. It's all connected. You have got to steward seasons well, and we've got to steward our identity, ourselves, the versions of who we are well too. We've got to be those who look at ourselves like, every version of me is valuable. Every version of me is necessary to get me into the next season, to get me into the next point in my life. I had to be here. I had to be here first. So again, those first 2 things you've got to take in, those first 2 truths, In order to steward every version of yourself, in order to steward your identity well, you've got to remember that every version of you is valuable and every version of you is necessary. Now, on to number 3 that I'm going to try to break down, quickly and not make this episode too long. Every version of you is temporary. Now, this one might be like good news for some of y'all. But it also might be bad news for some of y'all, or I say bad news, but news that you consider or are deeming bad before I describe it. And so here's what I mean by this one, y'all. Okay. Now, every version of you is going to not come to an end, but is going to evolve into another version of you. And that's just simply because we go through life, and life affords us the opportunity to have different experiences, different relationships, different opportunities, different things that we see, different things that we hear, different things happen in each and every day of our lives. No matter how mundane your life may be or may feel, there's always something slightly different, right? The way that you wake up out of the bed in the morning is always slightly different. The way that you brush your teeth is always slightly different. Like there's always something slightly different about even those, minuscule things that we think about. Therefore, you are always evolving. The way that you do things is always evolving, right? And so when we think about this, every version of me is temporary. It should make us think, okay, that means that I really need to handle with care this version of myself, because I will not always be this person. And again, for some of you, you're like, thank God, I'm ready to not be this person anymore. I'm ready to not have this weight on me. I'm ready to not have this habit as a part of my life. I'm ready to not have this and that and this and that. And absolutely, I understand that. And that is valid in many cases, right? But again, you cannot just like sit and think like, well, I have all the time in the world to learn about this person and to understand this person and to take care of this person. You've got a limited amount of time to take care of each version of yourself. And so whenever a new version is revealed, you want to appreciate the fullness of who that person is, no matter how much of it that person, you yourself, you understand. But you want to keep asking God, like, okay, God, this is a new version. This is a transition. I'm trying to understand who this person is. Why are you allowing me to be like this? Why is it my personality shifting and changing this way? Like, you want to try to understand that person fully so that, again, you can step into that next version of yourself more informed, right? And again, this is like, so like intertwined, like even as I'm trying to process it. And if you're watching me, you see my eyes like going up into the sky, because that's where I process. I guess that's where a lot of people process. I think that's science, biology. But every version of you is going to keep evolving. And so, yes, for those of you who that's good news, praise him, but still appreciate the you that you are right now. And then for those of you who are like, I really like who I am right now, I don't want to evolve anymore. Like, it's not bad news. It's just that you get to take this person that you like and to continue to make that person better, or to continue to follow God as he leads you into the steps that you need to take to keep becoming better, keep becoming a person that you continue to love and you continue to like, right? And so there's this person. You will not be the same person that you are right now in the next season. And so you've really got to take care of who you are right now. You've really got to like handle with care. You've really got to show this person love, show this person grace, be patient with this person as they learn and as they grow. You may not know something right now, and you might be frustrated about that. Like, oh, why have I not learned this? Why have I not taken on this habit? Why have I not become this and that and that and this? It's like, no, give yourself grace right now. Say, okay, I understand why. Okay, I'm trying to understand why. Okay, I'm processing why this person has been through a lot. And then start leaning into, oh, but this person is learning. This person is taking on this. This person has this new personality. This person did take on this one new habit, even if they haven't taken on the habit that I wanted to. Like, there are things that you can appreciate and you can value about yourself in this season, even though this person right now is only temporary. And then ultimately, in the big grand scheme of things, I spoke about this on the last episode, we as humans are temporary. right? We do not get to live on this earth our whole entire lives. Our lives will come to an end. And so when we really start thinking about that, again, that will help us to have a perspective and a mindset that will handle ourselves, handle our identity with care. Who you are today needs to be loved. Who you are today needs to be given and shown grace. Who you are today needs to be appreciated, because this person is valuable, this person is necessary, and this person is temporary. And so I know I have said a lot in this episode, or maybe you feel like I've said nothing at all, but whichever way we want to flip that coin. I just really hope that you're able to take something out of this episode, because I don't want us to walk around mishandling ourselves. Because like I said earlier, if you mishandle yourself, you end up mishandling seasons of life, opportunities, relationships, anything that comes your way, you mishandle when you mishandle yourself. But when you handle yourself with care, when you show yourself love and grace and appreciation and value, you're able to also handle with care the season that you're in, the purpose that you've been given, the relationships that come into your life. And so our pit stop journaling prompt moment of the week. And for those who don't know, we believe that purpose is a journey here in the Pushing Purpose family. Okay. And so along the journey, we need to take moments to just pause, take a moment, breathe, and try to process what we are seeing, dealing with, or experiencing. And so that is why I give us these pit stop journaling prompt moments that you can take with you away from this episode and actually go and try to apply something, try to process through something after you listen to the episode. And so our pit stop journaling prompt moment of the week is to ask yourself, how have I been stewarding this version of myself? How have I been caring for this version of myself? And how can I care for this version of myself better? That's it. How have I been caring for this version of myself? And how can I care for this version of myself better? So this episode is long enough. We're going to wrap this thing up, but thank you guys so much for watching and listening and tuning in however you are. If you are watching here on YouTube, then absolutely go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already, to let me know you enjoyed today's episode. Definitely comment down below. Let me know what you got from the episode. I want to respond and comment back and have a little dialogue and conversation down there. And then of course, share this episode with anyone that you believe needs to hear it, or just share it with your social media platforms, right? And then if you are listening on a streaming platform, of course, you know the deal. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. Absolutely rate and review this podcast and this episode if you enjoyed today's, and then make sure you go ahead and share the episode with anyone who you think might need to hear it today as well. And I think this is a really good episode that you guys should share with that person who you're like, they are really not seeing and understanding their value right now, but I see it, right? This would be a really good episode to just throw their way and say like, okay, I've been saying this so many times in their ear and they're not hearing me, so I'm gonna get somebody else to say it, and I'm okay to be that voice. Okay. Absolutely love doing this. Love being here. Love coming on. Love the way that you guys are supporting. Like really, it does fuel me to keep going. So thank you guys so much. And I'm excited to be here for the next one. Whatever the topic is going to be, we will see. So I'm so grateful for you guys. And y'all know, until you hear me or see me again, go push some purpose. See y'all.